Good morning, everybody, and happy Robo Taxi Day, Thursday, October 10th. And just going to go over the markets in the morning here. And if you have any requests, make sure you put it in the chat there, and I will try to get through as many as possible. And what I think is happening right now is, the market is down a little bit from the CPI. I guess it was a little bit warmer than expected, but I mean, day over day, we can just look at what's happening to the SPY, and it keeps on building strength over strength. And what's happening pre-market for the SPY, it's just looking like it might be coming back down to the previous all-time highs right now, maybe 574, 575, that zone, right? And that daily conversion line still sits at 571.49. So there is still room from a day-to-day basis for stocks and everything to go down a little bit lower and still resume the uptrend. But on a week-to-week basis, we got to understand that it is getting further and further away from the high time frame support, which would be around that 1.618, the 561.48. So, I mean, if this thing just keeps going up towards or closer to election, then during election, they could come back down and back test levels just to freak people out. But that's just part of the plan, possibly for things to go higher. So just got to be cautious the higher it goes. But it looks like it is starting to melt up week over week over week over week over week. So any kind of cool off is kind of expected and not too worrisome, in my opinion. WULF update. Yes, I will get to that. I actually have it on my screen here. Yeah. So let's do QQQ first. Since I do have more time, can go a little bit slower today. So let's see. Same thing for QQQ. Week over week, we got our support down here, 472. We got the resistance up here at 504. And what we have on the daily chart here is same situation, that it's just maybe going back down. Daily support still sits around 485. So that does seem kind of far away on a day-to-day basis, but the momentum is still very, very strong to the upside. So any kind of cooling off is not out of the ordinary. And we have the IWM here. It's down pre-market as well, day over day. And you can see what's really been happening. It all started when it got rejected by the 702 right here on Friday. Like, it came up, got rejected, and then came back down. And now price is going down more. So what makes sense is possibly going back down to the top of the cloud, possibly 214, maybe even 214.58, around that baseline or so, and just trying to build a base on top of support. So resistance got rejected, so now it's finding support. This is how markets work all the time. And once support is found, it'll go work its way back up towards resistance until it breaks. And yeah, before that, I'll get into Tesla before EOS, before WULF. Just want to get into Tesla first. And it's up 184 right now pre-market, but doesn't make any difference from a day-to-day price action. No, it doesn't, right? For the past week, since last Wednesday, it has been in a range, right? In a lower range. So what happened? It broke out, tried to get above the 50% level, and it failed. And now price is in this range, which is 237 up to 251. But the thing I'm always watching is that log scale fib, 242.44, and price is currently above it. So it's been a real big magnet for price, as you can see, 244. So this could be the launching pad to the 270s, right? And possibly today, possibly this week, tomorrow. And would it concern me if price went back down to test the cloud at 226? No, it would not, right? Because this could be volatile. Maybe there could be some news that people don't like, so it goes down. Then more news people do like, and it goes up. Who knows, right? But either way, the way I see this chart, down is bullish, up is even more bullish. So I am not worried about the day at all. Any kind of negative price action, I think, is a gift for people that have missed out. Yeah, and now I'll do a WULF. I do have a new chart for that one. Actually, I'm going to go to my other log scale chart. I think I like this chart the most. Yeah, so let me just zoom in here. And I love this chart. And I was like sharing it with my Patreon folks yesterday or last night. And I was just telling them that, hey, guess what, guys? It's retest is high right there. Building a new base, which was a resistance, flip to support. Not only that, it's on the top side of an arc, right? So that is fabulous, right? It's building a base on top of levels, and I love to see that. So that's why I was like, the lower it goes, the more I like it. Like even down in the 360s, I would like it because that is still in the range, right? Even a little bit below, it could be 350s. That's still okay. Right, this is looking really, really like it's building a base to want to go higher. And it's just all part of the process because it had an explosive rally from November, right? It was below $1. Then it got to $5 in that amount of time, right? That is a big, big increase. So, of course, it needs time to cool off. And that's exactly what it's doing before it makes its next leg higher. So I love WULF. I think right now price is up pre-market. So can it recover and go all the way back up? Of course it can, right? The opportunities are when it gets to support, and it was at support yesterday and the day before, and now support is it's not at support anymore. It's going back towards resistance right now. So therefore, we need to just be a little bit cautious because of that Ichimoku right there. You can see the baseline does sit at 416, and pre-market is at 408. So just got to understand that support is your friend. Resistance is a little bit caution warranted. Oh, yeah. I was going to go to EOS here, too. So I also told my Patreon people a couple days ago, earlier this week, that basically it was at resistance, right? Even when price was above it, it was at resistance. And not only is it the top of the cloud, but it is a previous resistance level up here with a wick, right? And another wick here and this whole zone. So I don't get excited about resistance, but what I do get excited about is if it comes back down to 290, maybe a little bit wick below, back to this fib right here, the 382, which is what, 77. If it back tests that, then I think this is going to be a successful breakout back test in this zone, and then it can build a base on top of that fib near this orange level, and then finally break through. And when it finally breaks through, then I think it'll go to 442, but not yet. I think it's in the process of getting rejected by resistance and going back down to find support in the 290s or down to the 270s in that zone. And then you can see clearly here, this 277 right here, the previous weeks, like 1, 2, 3, 4, we're all at resistance. So it's kind of clear to me that it kind of wants to flip it to a support. And if that is the case, then it will go much higher in the future. Yeah, MicroStrategy, MSTR. So MicroStrategy, what is it at pre-market? 190.95. And yeah, all I'm focused on is, let me take off this Ichimoku. I don't need it. Let's just see. The 886 is what I'm focused on, because closing a weekly candle back above that 886 is going to mean a lot because it's never done it before. Since this March high, it's never closed a weekly candle above that 886. And that is super important to me because not only is it closing candles above the 786, the 173, but also the next level. And that means if it can build a base on top of that, then I think the one level is guaranteed, then going to 230s, then the 260s, and the 300 above is almost going to be like pre-programmed. And I think it's just the beginning. So a weekly candle above the 886 is basically going to confirm all-time highs, in my opinion, or at least highs from March, right? I don't even know if all-time highs, what was it, way back here, but it was like a different business back here. So we can just disregard that anyways, back in the .com area. But yeah, it was just 886, 185.30 for the whole week. That's what I'm looking at, a weekly candle close. If that happens, I think it's going to be great. And then I want to see continuation the following week. I don't want to see something go back below. because if it goes back below, then that would just negate everything that just happened. So this is something I'm looking forward to, 185.30. Yeah, we'll do some PLTR. So pre-market is down a little bit, but the thing I'm going to focus on is being on top of the arc here for the first time ever. And this means I'm going to consider that arc support, which is 40.50. So as long as the price stays above here, I think it's going to go much higher and make all-time highs and go beyond, right? So people that are thinking, oh, it's going to go back to 36 or whatever, well, the time to do that would be like this week, right? It would be just, oh, this a big fake out and sell off and then go back down. But that would be just today and tomorrow. If it happened next week, well, I don't think it's going to go back down to the angle. But if it did, that would be like 37, 38, right? But maintaining this angle and maintaining this arc, the combination of both is going to mean it's going to be a $100 stock by the year or in the month September 2025. So it's looking really good, and I'm just focused on holding 40.50 at the moment for price to continue higher. All right, let's see here. Can I cover HIMS? Oh, WULF news came out. It's up 6% pre-market. Yeah, I didn't even look at the news, but I just pay attention to the charts. And like I said before, the charts were telling the story that support was holding yesterday and the day before. So whatever news that is, it doesn't matter to me because I look at the charts, and the charts usually tell the story before the news. Let's see, HIMS. So HIMS, what it's really doing now, I think I'm going to just put on the Ichimoku just so you guys can see. That baseline is 1847 for the week. It opened a week above it, and it's been hovering around that the whole time. So this is kind of like on a day-to-day basis. Every day, it's just like playing around with that area. So it's kind of looking like it wants to hold it as a support. And if that holds as a new support, then that is the definition of building a base to wanting to go higher. But the goal is to get above 20 bucks here. Once it flips this arc to a support again, then I think it has a lot of room to run. So it's just a waiting game. So earlier this week, it did get rejected by that zone. So that's why it came down. But now we're just looking at it in a new support zone. So I think this thing is going much higher. It's just a matter of time while it builds a base at higher levels. Yeah, can I do ADS? Yeah, of course I can do ADS. And ADS, is it a fake out? No, it's not looking like a fake out, especially what just happened on the weekly chart. Like the 50% level is at 17.5, right? And this is the 50% level from that high back here in 2022 from the low down here in 2023. So that held as a support. So it's a breakout back test of the cloud, the top of the cloud of that angle, of that 50% level. And it's even getting it back above the angle now. So it's looking like this angle kind of wants to be a support again. So I really think what's going to happen is it's going to go back to the 23 cents. Then it's going to try to challenge these candles over here, 26 cents. And then once it's above 26 cents, then it has a lot of room to go to the 786, the 34 cents, the 42 cents, whatever. But this crypto and TAO, TAO, they are probably one of the most bullish charts in all our cryptos. So I would be very excited about these kind of backtests, like the ones that we're seeing right here. This was the opportunity right there for price to go higher. So yeah, I see really good positive price action for ADS in the near future, especially getting into the 30s, 40s, and maybe even back to maybe up to $1 in the future, right? So I think this is going to be a good coin, and it's one of the most bullish coins in all of crypto, and it's just a micro cap too, so it has a lot of opportunity. let's see here. Good morning. Can you do okay? Yeah, NVIDIA. So NVIDIA, don't even need that cloud because I'm just using the fibs on this one. And it's kind of the same situation as MicroStrategy. I kind of wanted to close above the 886 for the week. That would be around 133.88 on log scale. And a minimum would be 128.12. That's good too, right? So I think what we're seeing here on log scale is just a combination of kind of getting rejected by a resistance while breaking a previous resistance, trying to flip it to a support. So it's in the process of going higher. But the thing I want to see the most is probably just another weekly candle close above this 131.26 right here. And that would kind of confirm a higher high from here on a week over week basis, which would kind of confirm to me that it wants to go into all-time highs and beyond. So this is just heating up, it looks like, in my opinion, to start to break out in the near future again, but just got to hold this 128.12 for the future. And yeah, AMD. So AMD, we're going to put back on our Ichimoku here because it's going to tell a story. And that story is it's at resistance, right? It hit the top of the cloud, had a massive breakout from September 24th all the way up to the top of the cloud, and it got rejected this week, right? So that is resistance. And it's clear as day. So it's going to need to get on top of this cloud before anything wonderful happens. And I think maybe not this week, and maybe even not next week, because it had a big run. Like you had a 13% weekly candle, then a 2, then a 5, then a 4, right? So many green weekly candles in a row that maybe it needs to cool off a bit. And could it come back down to the 150s again before it goes up? Yes, it could, right? So a little bit of caution is warranted at resistance. But once it breaks, I think it could have a lot of momentum, and it would probably go up to the 180s again. Then possibly these candles over here, the 200s, 205, 210, whatever. But after I take this off, I'm going to show you guys what I see on a monthly basis. And on a monthly basis, this is super bullish, right? A previous resistance came back down, corrected, and now it's trying to flip it as support. So that 154 level, the green level, is your monthly support on a month-over-month basis. And I think the more months that hold this as support, then it's going to go back. It's going to go higher. It's going to go to 300s, 400s, maybe even 500s above. So this is looking really good for the long term, but on a week-to-week basis, it is at resistance, and that needs to break before it goes higher. Yeah, Darren, I already did some Tesla earlier on. I'll put timestamps on this as well for the after the recording. If you don't want to go back right now, you can go back later and watch it. And let's see here. Can I do Oracle? ORCL. Yeah, so Oracle, I do have a gain on this, and we saw a monthly breakout last month, and that was up 20%. And that confirmed to me that it's going to go higher simply because it kind of broke through this arc with a bullish engulfing. And I always say, if you see a bullish engulfing candle or a bearish engulfing that breaks through a level, then that usually has continuation. And sure enough, this had continuation. So on a month-to-month basis, the next resistance level is 200 up here with the arc. So I think it could have more momentum, but when we look on a weekly chart with all the other indicators here, we can see that it is kind of getting a little bit extended. And the conversion line is even at 154.91. So it has room to come back down and maybe like make people think that it's all over, but it would just be retesting the support before going higher. So as you know, I do not like to chase. I like to buy at support. And the support was when it broke out of the cloud here and retested it, that's support. When it broke out and retested it, that was support. When it broke out and retested it, that was support. And now it's not at support, right? So I don't like to chase, but I do see this going higher. But if it ever goes back to a a high time frame support, that could be an area of interest for Oracle. AFRM. AFRM. So yeah, I have a lot of things here. It looks kind of messy right now, but the cloud, the cloud is there. It held us support. The 50% level, it held us support, $39. That was a great opportunity actually this week, because it was kind of clear it was holding this 50% week over week over week over week. So it was kind of obvious $39 was the obvious buy before. So we can go to the daily chart and we can see what's really happening, and it's even back above the baseline there too. So we're going to consider 41.85 support. It is 42.36 pre-market, so it could come back down a little bit lower, but it's looking more and more bullish. And after I take everything off for AFRM here, we can see what sits above. Well, what sits above is 46 is resistance. Then you got the blue level, 50.78 is resistance. Then you got the 618, 55, 70. So it's not going to be an easy ride to the 50s, because there is going to be resistance along the way. But what I can see is, as long as $39 holds on a week over week basis, then it will get to probably 51. And once this blue level gets flipped to a support, then I think it can go much, much higher into the 70s and 90s and even back to the hundreds above. So one step at a time. And then once it's confirmed this completely that it's support, which I think it might already have, then I can see it going higher. But it's just going to take time, because there are many different layers of resistance along the way. And now we got hood here. So hood is 50% level broken, 45-degree angle broken. This looks really good. I'm waiting for a weekly candle close for confirmation, because tomorrow is the last day, and it could be just maybe turn into a wick and close back below everything. And if that happened, that would not be good. So that's why I like to wait for confirmation. But if this does close the way it's looking right now, then that kind of almost sets up perfectly for 31, 32, the 618 at 32.41. So just waiting for tomorrow. But as long as this angle holds, maybe around 24.75, that'll be a good setup for the weeks to come. And let's see, Mara. So yeah, Mara pre-market 1548. It's a little bit up, I guess. I have a black line drawn there simply because if you ignore this GAN, you can see that it has been a support and a resistance in the past, right? And it's a previous resistance flipping to support. So I like that. So now we'll put back on the GAN, and we'll strictly use the GAN and the fibs here. And what I need to happen next is getting a weekly candle close back above 1611. If it can't close a week back above 1611, then I think it might still just be under a lot of pressure. So that's going to be the target to close above 1611 for this week, for all weeks to come. And once it can build a base back on top of that 50% level, then I think it's time to go higher. But until then, it's just retesting this previous resistance zone, flipping to a support. I already did Palantir, Melinda, but I'll do timestamps later, so you can just go back and do that. But could I rank show my favorite miners? Well, I mean, one of my favorite is WULF right here, because it's more bullish, right? And as far as the other ones, I like Core Z, but Core Z really has to break out of 2025 in order to go higher. And I do like Cypher a lot too, because it did break out a lot, but I needed to continue above $4. And CLSK and Mara are good, but they're still in the bottoming process right now. So I think CLSK could go down maybe to the 860s, 850s again, just to retest those levels before going higher. But my favorites are really WULF and CORZ, but CORZ needs to get above 2025 for continuation. And yeah, okay, so we got 5 more minutes before. Oh, one thing I wanted to show you guys is I don't know if anybody's been paying attention to this one, but I have been mentioning it on my Patreon a lot. SMLR. I even made a post about it when I was talking about it because it was holding my arc for a long time here. And I'm like, this is the opportunity. And then this week I was like, okay, if this weekly candle doesn't close near the arc again, then I would be cautious, but it did. And then once that happened, I'm like, yeah, this is going higher. And sure enough, it started to go higher and higher. And 25.37 is that halfway kind of fib. In between there, the 136, and therefore that is breaking out. So I can see this getting back to $28, $29 pretty easily for SMLR. But that's going to be resistance up there. But yeah, I just want to point that out because nobody has really been talking about it, but it's been holding support very, very, very well. And yeah, in phase, no change really. So in phase down pre-market doesn't matter to me. It's just in that zone. Like you can just zoom in here a lot and look at that pre-markets right here. It's like retesting the arc over and over and over and over and over and over again. And next week it could do it again, right? It could come down to the angle again in the 103s, 102s, whatever, right? It could keep doing it. But I think this angle and this arc, it's coming to an end. And I think it's time to start building a base again on top of this angle and continue higher. So I do like this. People that are waiting for chances and opportunities, sometimes they just stare you right in the face because this is a clear support zone and it's a clear opportunity, in my opinion, for price to accumulate in this zone and then go higher. All right, let's go back to Tesla. How's that looking? Just up $1. Yeah. It's going to be maybe a volatile day. Does anybody know what time that robo-taxi event starts? I don't even know. It's probably later on. But let's take a look at everything else pre-market real quick before things open in 2 minutes. So this is, yeah, it's down just a little bit. $2 for the QQQ, IWM. 215. How's the SMH looking? Yeah, it still can't break into new highs either over here, the SMH. I should say new recent highs. It got rejected there yesterday. So yeah, we'll see what happens with this, but I mean, things are on a week-to-week basis, on a day-to-day basis, that they still can go back down quite a ways and retest support. So don't get panicky if prices do drop a little bit. It's 10 p.m. Eastern time. Okay. All right. So yeah, we got a little bit more than a minute. We'll just take a look at a few more things here. One thing I wanted to take a peek at was SMCI here, because another example of holding the support. And like this is what I was just talking about with end phase. Like sometimes the opportunities with a previous resistance and a support are right in your face, and then after it takes off is when people are like, oh, I should have bought, right? But no, like the opportunity is when it's at support, and that's when most people don't care about it, don't want it, but that is usually the opportunity. And SMCI is kind of that same way. But why is it not going higher here? Well, I think it's all in the Ichimoku right here, and that conversion line got rejected at 50.64, and price did go up to the $50 range earlier this week. So that's why it's getting kind of rejected there, but it's all part of the process. Hold support, get rejected by resistance, kind of build a base at a higher level before it really wants to go higher. So just patience with this one, but I think it's going to go higher, right? It's going to get back above that conversion line, going to go to the 53s. And then once it's on top of this orange line again, then I think it has really good opportunity to go into the 60s and 70s, but 1 week at a time, and it's just not ready yet. But support did hold down here. If it ever got back down to 38, I think that is the opportunity. So the market just opened now, and we'll just take a final look at the markets to see how everything's looking. Yeah. So yeah, ARKK is around 56. Let's just look at that real quick. Yeah. I mean, ARKK, all you need is the fibs from this high and that low, and it held the fibs perfectly. 50%, 45.69. That is your weekly support. So this is fantastic for a breakout, a back test, and a possible continuation higher. Yeah, Palantir's just doing his thing. CrowdStrike, oh, it's getting above 300. That's the level, guys, to watch. A weekly close back above 299.57. And that's also the baseline right there at 299.57. It's exactly the same price as that 50% fib. Coincidence? I think not. So that's kind of going to be the zone to break. If it breaks above 300 for the week, then this is probably going higher. So CrowdStrike looks really, really good for continuation. Yeah, AMD interface. Yeah, everything's doing what it's supposed to be doing. Just as long as all those stocks, even Tesla, stays within the range here, has room to go back down to the 230s, 220s, and it's still bullish. So nothing to panic, but I still think 270s come sooner than later. But until then, I'll see you guys tomorrow and have a good